What is going on, everyone? Tim from Tierfon Orbital. Today, I would like to talk a little bit in depth about a little project that I completed earlier in the week, right? So this is the Katarn. Yeah. Okay. So it's the Katarn V3 from Korbanth and LDM, right? But it is based on Kuron's, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Kuron's lightsaber, right? So this hilt was sent to me, obviously brand new. Actually, it was sent to me by the customer with a few things in mind, right? So the customer wanted this to be weathered, but he also wanted this to look a little bit unique, right? The customer did want this to look a little bit like some artist's representation of the hilt, right? So there is an artist out there by the name of Mikolaj Birek. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He's a digital artist, and his representation of this hilt is a little bit different than what we're used to seeing, right? So the control box, the switch box is a little different. It's silver. There's an exposed wire. I thought it was a very, very unique looking version of the lightsaber, and I really liked it as well, right? So I tried to do my best to get as close as we could to that version of the hilt, and I really, really liked doing the project, right? So anyhow, and I really liked what we came up with as far as the chassis is concerned. I've got a few unique touches on the chassis, so it was a lot of fun doing this one, right? And this is actually the first time that I've actually seen this hilt up close. My buddy Benji from Nerf Herder Custom actually just recently did a video on his Katarn V3, and I really, really liked what he did to his. So now I'm actually really seriously considering getting one for myself because it's a very, very nice hilt that Korbanth is offering, right? So anyhow, let's come into Fusion and talk a little bit about this chassis, and then obviously we'll come up top and do a demo, right? So let's head into Fusion. All right, so here is the chassis, right? So obviously I've got these two greebly panels along each side. These were both printed in resin and then just CA glued to the side of the chassis, right? So I like doing this, so I get a lot more detail in resin than I do with my Carbon X1, obviously, right? The main body of the chassis was printed in PLA carbon fiber. So I've got some light ridges and greebly work on the main chassis. There is a window here with a 2020 NeoPixel strip that I just kind of feed through this window down here. All right, it does have a piece of Mylar in front of it for some light diffusion. Proffie board V3, it does sit in this chamber right here. Up top is a 6-rail PCB. So there is a lot of room on the inside of this hilt, right? So I got plenty of room to play with. I also put some rectangular LEDs along the circumference of that 6-rail PCB. Why did I do that? I don't know. It's completely unnecessary, but I thought, why not? Let's just try it. There was plenty of room to do so. So yeah, there's no need for them, but I thought, why not, right? Kill switch is right here, battery tray is here, and that is it, right? Pretty straightforward chassis. I think this is the first time that I'm pretty sure this is the first time I've put LEDs along the top of a chassis, right? So that's it. Let's come up top. All right, so here it is. The Katarn V3 from Korbanth and LDM, right? So right off the bat, the first thing I did with this was do a pass of aluminum black, right? So looking at the renders of this and the artist's representation, there were some really, really awesome, the paint was chipped up in these corners. And there was just no way I would have been able to do that without hand painting it. And I really didn't want to hand paint it. I just didn't feel I would have been able to get it accurate enough without it looking like it was hand painted. I'm just my skills are not there, right? So I just went in and knocked back some of these edges of the anodization just to make it look like it's been used, right? So yeah, just a pass of aluminum black just to make it look like it's been used. Okay, I did come back and add a little bit of burnt sienna wash in some of these grooves just to make it look like it's dirty and rusty. Okay, added that exposed red wire in here that just goes underneath that control box. And then I tapped a hole for this knurled brass thumb screw, so you can unthread that if you want to. I really wanted to make this the blade retention screw, but because this emitter is so thick, I did not have a thumb screw that was long enough, and I could not find one online that was thick enough. I mean, this is almost a 1/2 inch thick. I just could not find one long enough. So this is just decorative. You're still going to want to use that retention screw around the other side as your blade retention, right? As for the switches, right, I took a note from my boy Benji at Nerf Herder Customs and did file down these switches a little bit. They were very high, and they were finger piercing, so not very comfortable to press, right? So I did file those down a little bit. That was also a request from the customer, so those have been filed down a little bit, right? And that's it, right? So the hilt itself unthreads here. It also unthreads at the pommel, and I believe it unthreads here as well, right? The way that I install this is that you remove the chassis from this bottom pommel, right? That way you're not having to take off this bar. I mean, so like you could install this a number of different ways. Like you could have a static chassis if you want to, but you'd have to like undo this bar, and that is a huge pain in the butt. So I decided to go with a removable chassis with a 6-rail PCB, and that just makes things a lot easier, right? So to get at your chassis, you want to unthread that pommel. Your chassis will just slide out. Okay, so here's your chassis. Did my usual pass of pewter rub and buff on this one. 28mm dark side elite speaker from Smuggler's Outpost. Proffie board. You want to take the flat part of your battery, face that down towards the speaker. There are those completely unnecessary rectangular LEDs. All right. So once you get your battery in, all you have to do is just slide the chassis in place, thread your pommel on, and you're good to go. All right. Let's come down to the bottom.
General Cano.
So let's put a blade in it. Okay, so this is a 1-inch blade holder. There is a set screw that will serve as your blade retention. Nice deep blade socket, right? So rest your blade on those PCB pins, tighten your blade retention screw, and you are ready to go.
Hello, Zuko here.
And Dathomir will be your grave.
Nice sounding hilt too.
The NASA team is ready for launch.
So that is the Katarn V3 from Korbanth Sabers and LDM. This one was a lot of fun, this project, right? Not a lot of modifications to this one, but it was a lot of fun just to kind of do just some minor tweaks to this one, right? So anyhow, to the customer, thank you very much for trusting me with your install. If anyone has any questions about this one, please do not be a stranger. And with that being said, may the force be with you always. Have a good one, everybody.